Okay, so let's take a look at how you can set up virtual machine of Linux type in Azure. So let's say I have logged into Azure portal, and here you can see the virtual machine option, right? You can also search from menu. Here you have virtual machine from, let's say, here, right? So we click on that and will be taken to this blank page. Here we can choose new machine by clicking on create Azure virtual machine, right? So we go to that new page. Here we will be adding some of the options like subscription, resource group. You can pick that you created earlier, or you can create from here. Name your virtual machine. So let's say Azure Ubuntu, right? If you want any other name, you can go with that. So here you can read, this is something you need to choose, that will be an identifier, right? If you want, you can make everything lowercase so that you can remember it properly. Then you have region, pick the recommended one, right? Sometimes what happens is that if you pick something else and you don't find the resources, it will take longer to set up, right? So in this case, what you can do, next move on to infrastructure. Pick the availability zone. Then availability zone, here you need to pick the option 1, 2, 3. Security, you can choose standard basic level of security. So I'm going to just create one of the instance for Ubuntu just to show you here, because I'm not going to run any production apps on here. So I will keep the security to simple. Here you can read more about two other, which is confidential virtual machine and trusted launch virtual machine. Go through them, see if it works for you. Here you also have Azure spot discount. So capacity at a discounted rate versus pay as you go, right? So cost will be based on your credits. So pay as you go is good model. In my case, I'm on free trial, so I'll be using that up for the number of minutes I run that. So here I also have size, right? So image publisher recommends 2 CPU and you have 8 GB memory. Currently 1 vCPU 1 GB memory is free service eligible, right? So we stick with that. We also have authentication type, which is SSH key, right? And there will be password. If you happen to go that route, then you can choose it. Here you have username, which is Azure user, then SSH public key source, which is going to be generate a new key pair option or use anything existing that you already have uploaded for Azure, right? Then you have key pair name, which is Azure Ubuntu key added by default. So we'll keep this pair name. If you want something simple, you can try that. Then public inbound ports, so I'll be using SSH and also AT. If you want HTTPS, you can use that as well. So it will tell you, this will allow all IP addresses to access your virtual machine. So I'm doing this for testing, so it's still a good option. So we'll review and create. Now we have to download those SSH key pairs before we can go to party and then convert those files into something. So validation failed for some reason. So required information is missing or not valid. So we'll go through that. Let it show us. Validation is passed. Just going through a few things. Now here you can see the terms and email, etc. It will be asked to you. Then you go through all the details. Okay, if everything is as per your plan, you can go ahead and create. Here you can see generate new key pair option is coming. So download private key and create resource. So make sure to get the key, as you can see here, .pem file. Okay, so we'll be seeing the deployment option. Now here you can see your virtual machine. A bit longer name here is in the process. So until and unless we see the green light for deployment, we are not going to see the results. So we'll have to wait for it to give OK status to all these options. So we get our IP, virtual network, and security group created as well, right? Meanwhile, what we can do is we can open our file, which is this key.pem, right? So we will move that to cloud keys Azure Linux. Let me paste it here. Now what I can do is I can open partition and then go for convergence, click import, choose the cloud key, which is the one we download. Now here you see the public key and there will be also private key. So we will save the private key with name azure.ppk, right? You can also save public key if you want, azurepub.pub, right? So everything is saved. We can close the party generator. Now we go to cloud keys and here we have our ppk file .pub file. Now let's go back to Azure. Here you can see your deployment is complete. You can go to the resource. Here you can see, in order to create to this particular resource, you will be in need to take this public IP address. So let's go to party and open it. Here I'll be pasting this public IP address. Paste it. Let me name this Azure, right? Then I will move to connection SSH, then auth credentials, where I will choose private key that we just created right now, right? And let me go to cloud keys Azure ppk. Next I will also choose the option for, let's see, where was the data option, session, right? So we have everything properly set. Just have to double check if all the things that we wanted. Here you can choose your Azure user, right? So that was the important part. So here you can see Azure Ubuntu is the name. Usually we will take the name or username and we will be logging that, right? So here you can also take a look at everything that you need, right? Here you can see encryption is disabled, right? So now what we have to do is we have to, let's say, go to session, save this session, and then click open, click accept, and here it should ask you. Here you can see it is authenticating and giving me access. So if we try and type, let's say, lsp underscore release dash a, then you notice that it will show you the version of Ubuntu to which we just connected, right? So what we have done so far is we created compute instance in Microsoft Azure with Ubuntu Linux 20.04. So if you are getting any other LTS release like 22 or maybe 24 in near future, usually people use the older release because they are like supported for 5 or 10 years. So this is the case with this particular Ubuntu instance. So if you happen to be installing older versions for that reason, you will get this version display when you run LSP release, right? So you get the idea how to create the virtual machine in Microsoft Azure, how to set things up, how to connect to it using PuTTY. You can also use WSL, but I'm choosing PuTTY here.